Nobody wants to fail, and you especially don't want to fail when you're implementing a new system or technology in your single-family office. So how do you avoid failure? We're going to talk about that with our special guest today, Ashley Whittaker. Ashley is the president, global sales at FundCount. FundCount is a world-class technology platform for wealth management and family offices. Ashley has seen hundreds of implementations over his 30 plus years in fintech, and during the last 6 years at FundCount has witnessed well in excess of 50 single family office implementations. I know we'll benefit from Ashley's insights and experience about systems implementation. So welcome, Ashley.
Good day, John. Nice to see you again.
It's great to have you here. Before we jump into the topic, I would like to thank FundCount for sponsoring and supporting the conversations on this channel. So, Ashley, what are the top reasons why implementations fail?
Well, starting in no particular order, I think re-engineering is a big issue. We've seen clients come to us insisting that they have 100 of their current reports reproduced exactly. When you delve into those sorts of things, you can find that 50% plus of them may not have been used in years. And perhaps another 30% plus relate to the fact that you've got multiple systems in your current IT ecosystem. Whereas FundCount, of course, is a unified platform, so it doesn't necessarily need all of those reports. And then that sort of exhibits itself in a number of ways, from doing re-engineering too early before you've really understood the system and what it's capable of, to not doing it at all and insisting that everything is done the way that you've always done it, and you're obviously then engineering in the inefficiencies that you may have had in your older systems. All of which perhaps is a function of not really having done the work to understand your requirements in the first place.
So, re engineering too soon before you know enough to actually take advantage of the capabilities of the new system, or re engineering too late when the system has already been implemented and you're not in a position to adjust your own workflows. So those re-engineering points seem to tie into understanding the new system and its capabilities and how you can use it to best improve your own process.
Yeah, and learning the new system is one of the key things that you're going to do in an implementation. And one of the things that really worries me is when I see clients take on consultants to do that. I think consultants have a place in an implementation, but it's basically to create the time for you to learn the new system by undertaking those jobs you currently have and free up your time that way. To do it any other way, or have the consultant or even the vendor build the system for you rather than you undertaking it, is, rather too analogous to turning up at the showroom to pick up your new car. You didn't help build it, but you just drive off in it. That doesn't work in a software world. You need to be able to understand how the software works to get the efficiencies and benefits of it. Now, with a system like FundCount, even if you don't automate anything, our clients have reported 100% efficiency improvements. Once they automate, that can be anything up to and over 6,500%. And if that figure sounds astounding and unreal, put it this way instead. It's the difference between a user, an operative, being able to handle 3 entities during the course of their day and being able to handle 200, which is, a case for one of our clients. So you've got to learn the system to understand how you're going to deliver those efficiencies within the parameters of the requirements that you have.
So learning the new system is key to success. You can't really delegate that learning to an outsider, a third party, whether it's the vendor who's selling you the system and consulting as you implementing it or to a third-party consultant, because nobody knows your data better than you. And that leads me to another question about data and data management, because one of the things that I've seen over my career working with family offices on systems implementations is a misjudgment of how much data needs to be converted or transferred or input into the system to maintain some sort of historical integrity. What's your experience in that area?
Oh, we've seen some real disasters. Um, you know, let's just quickly define what historic data is. It's data that is no longer in your balance sheet. So if it's in your balance sheet, it's current data. No matter how old it is, it's current data. So when we talk about historic data, it's things that you've reported on past performance that no longer are relevant to your current performance. And we always advise clients, do not load that before you've gone live, before the system is up and running and you've implemented it. If you do wish to load it, you'll be much more informed of the system and its operation, and it will be easier and cheaper. But we've seen clients insist on doing this, and they've brought in outside consultants to do that, which is, in my view, just a crazy decision, because they've ended up spending and wasting hundreds of thousands of dollars, literally, for no good end. Why would you sit there and redo 10 or 15 years of work? You know, you did have systems, you may not be happy with them now, which is why you've changed, but you've relied on them for the last 10 or 15 years. Suddenly saying, you know, we've got to junk all of that and redo all of this work, it adds incredibly to the workload. And you can see implementations going 3 or 4 times over the timeline, and hundreds of percent over budget. It is possibly one of the worst things you can do. And then to add, to that woe, we've seen clients where they've decided that they want to correct these errors to a 1 cent materiality level. There's some interesting decisions that get made out there, and I do wonder who's making them sometimes.
Well, Ashley, it seems like the 3 points you've made so far about failures and how to avoid failure, one about re-engineering, either too soon or not at all, two, taking the time to actually learn the new system and its capabilities so that you can re-engineer properly, and three, managing the conversion of data or the historical data input into the system, are all about business decision making. They're not technical issues. They're all about the people who have made the decisions to execute the implementation this way. Can you talk a little bit about what the right mix of talent is in the implementation team?
Yeah, I think one of the big factors to success or otherwise is whether you have a project manager internally. Now, this is not only about giving somebody responsibility for getting it done, it's also about giving them the authority to do it. So, to use fund count as an analogy, our project managers have the right to call on anybody within the organisation to get the job done, including the CEO, who, he knows the product, he built it, he's worked with it for 20, 25 years, and he can be called in as an SME as necessary. So you do need to make sure that you're giving authority as well as responsibility. Then you need the right team in place. Now, you may have somebody who's worked on your QuickBooks for you for years, but are they the right person to handle a data migration? Do they have those systems analysis skills and data analysis skills to do that? And then finally, you've got to be very open with access. You're risking failure where access is controlled through one point. Everybody's probably, as a kid, played that game of telephone, where you sit around in a circle, you start off a sentence, and what comes back is something completely different. As vendors, we always like to be able to talk to the people who are responsible for that data, who know that data, who know those systems, and then we come up with a much better result as a consequence of that open access.
Well, Ashley, thank you for sharing 4 major ways to avoid failure in your single family office implementation. Number 1, re-engineering. Be sure to do it as it's required, but in order to do it properly, make sure you, number 2, learn the new system and its capabilities. Third, you mentioned data management and getting the right data in the system. Not more than you need, but absolutely what you need in order to operate properly. And finally, you mentioned having the right team in place, using a project management office approach, and having a champion at the highest levels in the single family office, ideally your CEO or a principal. So again, thank you very much, Ashley, for sharing your insights today on how to avoid failure in a systems implementation. I'm your host, John Carroll, saying thank you and see you next time.